everyone. You're at show Shalom from Aleph Tree. Well, I'm your host, Galina Kuptsova, and my guest, as always, Serge Kuptsov. Hi, Serge, how are you?
Hello.
We're doing the part 2, yeah, to be continued to talk about the Paul.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Paul is Christian or not?
Your Paul is Christian or not?
Yeah. Church definitely said, oh, what blessed me, what you're talking
what
about.
What are you talking
Yeah,
about? Yep.
Yes, and we've been talking about that Paul rejected Judaism. He lived his life, you know, as a righteous guy, and he went to Damascus. He was persecuted church, you know, church.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, study, please. Had been Paul persecuting church or something different?
Yes.
At that time? Paul never persecuted church at that time because there was no church. You said Paul created the church first. And there was a group of people Paul was following and against. That is absolutely different. Paul was chasing people, absolutely different group of people. Learn it first before you're saying Paul persecuted church. And suddenly he said, oh, it's not a good thing to do. Because he met on Damascus Jesus.
Yes.
He became converted. Converted. He said, Judaism, lots of law.
Yep.
I'm leaving you. And
I'm not Pharisee anymore.
Anymore, yes.
Not anymore.
But he said later on, I am a Pharisee.
I am a Pharisee.
Okay.
What a chameleon. What a chameleon.
What a
Chameleon.
comedy, yeah. And they saying, Christian theologians and the pastors in the churches, that he rejecting Judaism, he came to new doctrine, justification by faith. They put on a Paul.
Okay.
Not to be responsible for this. We'll figure out what is this, you know. I mean, justification by faith, you know. We at home we're always kidding one another, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
With what?
Not enough.
It's very comfy, yeah, for some
It's
people.
very comfy.
Look, justification.
Oh, you're not healed, oh, yeah.
Yeah, gospel. You know, it's a core of Christianity. You know, justification by faith. It's very comfortable for leaders, for pastors, for I don't know, for cardinals, for if you have a Cadillac and plane and palace, you have enough faith.
Yeah.
But if you
sick all the time or you're poor, not enough faith.
Not enough faith, you know, the nice justification of the things, you know. I have enough faith. You have not enough faith. Everything. And it's a Paul created doctrine.
You tell me
mine.
what is the enough?
It's a Saint Paul created. No. It was created in offices of that time of bad people who wanted to divide the Jewish nation, the followers of Mashiach in the first century. It's a very
I'm not afraid to even say it anti-Semitic.
Absolutely.
Yes,
it's
I'm
a
not
very
afraid.
bad justification of the doctrine. Because a doctrine which works only for those who at table with food, with easy money, you know, pastors, leaders, not
Pops,
enough,
bishops.
Pops and all this stuff, you know. And again, second in doctrine, salvation by the work, doing Jewish people. They salvation by the work. They put the Jewish put you into something bad, you know, because Jesus has done everything for you. You do not need to do anything. You don't just believe. Just believe. Which is absolutely. You will be winner in the lottery. Just believe. Salvation by the work, and why salvation by the work and nothing else? Because they saying again later on, they reject the grace of God. We're saying, if you do not know Judaism, do not talk just what is written,
Yes.
because you will be caught immediately. If you do not know what is Purim, if you do not know all the modims and all the festivals, which are all based on the grace of God.
Yes,
Only.
grace of-
Only grace of God. Nothing less. Nothing less. That is Judaism, you know.
Amen.
But
Amen.
you should do your job. You should study. That's the work. Yeah, well, you don't need to study, you know. You should fact checks, you know. And they conclude, Paul, the wrote Christianity kind of in 3 words, from sin to grace. You know, Jesus done everything for you. You don't need to do anything. You just in heaven. Get your pocketbook ready to go to heaven, because Jesus done everything for you, you know. And if you don't have a plane and a palace,
Not enough faith.
Not enough faith, you know.
Not enough
Okay.
faith.
Paul was called to his ministry, but not converted. It's a big difference. Most of evidence, you know, that we see as a historical Paul, we're coming to pastor who knows all the letters. They came through the Gordon, you know, college. They know all the letters Paul wrote. And all the historical, the things of figure of Paul, you can see richly in Acts, you know. Biggest part of Paul image we can kind of see. The familiar situation, Damascus, you know, how he traveled there, how he did this and then this and this and this. Because, you know, it's a good book. Who wrote this? No, yeah. And for what? Yeah. We're saying that's a good, entertaining book. Because some respectful, I'm saying respectful scholars said probably it was written by Luke.
Yes.
You know, okay, it's a book where is the author never was on the road of Damascus, or maybe behind the piano somewhere, sitting. How Paul was converted.
How Paul converted.
Or he was with 276 passengers on a ship. That's it. It's a secondary. Because Paul in his letters wrote a lot of things as evidence, you know, and again, that people been talking about this incredible guy, and his story was put in these Acts, because Acts was written as a respectful scholar saying.
Yep.
The most early, it's a late first century, or rather the first the half of second century. Paul died in 64. Paul died in 64. So we can see many interesting things, you know, in Acts. Many things give us an image of the Paul, you know. But we couldn't say that there was exactly happened what is written, because or it was taken from the Paul's himself information, or it was get some more information, you know. And the Paul, I think, if we agree, Luke wrote the Acts. Paul, he called his Paul. Paul probably never find out, they recognize himself in the book of Acts, you know. I asked a couple of pastors, they told the Paul wrote Acts. I said, you have a good job for 60,000 a year.
Yeah.
Not even knowing that, you know. And free housing. How many letters Paul wrote? If you ask this question, you will get absolutely different answer. But for years, many respectful scholars studying, sitting studying, you know, who can like I can differ immediately. That's music of Beethoven or Mozart. That's
Yes.
playing Zappa or Kazumi Watanabe or Mike Stern.
Just even by listening. Yeah.
By listening, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone will, there's some people saying, okay, that's not Picasso.
Yes.
This is Ivazovsky
Yep.
made the painting, whatever, you know? And how many? Hello? 14. They say 14, like soldier in a line, you know, 14. Are you sure? Terminology again. That was canonized,
Yes.
14. But are they written by Paul or not? Because it was comfortable, it was profitable for those who canonize.
Put
Especially.
nice together, give a structure.
No,
Yeah.
not because structure. There is a theology.
Yes.
Theology. There is a theology how to rule.
Yeah.
How to how to lie smoothly. You know how to get confused people. There is absolutely nothing about this. It would be okay about. The most popular for years and for 100 years, for opinion of most respectful scholars, text scholars, not just Christian propaganda scholars who mostly know Greek and only New Greek, not old one. Okay, they come to the conclusion. The most respectful scholars, if you don't believe me, go and study yourself. But you better do. That Paul wrote, they can say for sure, 7 letters. Romans,
Okay.
1st, 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Galatians, remember. Philippians, 1st Thessalonians, not second one, and Philemon. This all 7 letters have an absolute confirmation that Paul wrote it. Because there is many letters was out there. There's I'm a Paul, apostle of God, blah, 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 but that never was, that was fake. Okay, first, what about Ephesians? Oh, what Ephesians?
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
yes.
The first, we were going through, people with analyzing text and everything, you know, and it doesn't fit in, as I said, people who take the analyzing text and work with text, they can understand who is writing, yeah? Who is playing violin.
Yep.
This artist or that one. Yeah, immediately. And Ephesians, first, the most early manuscripts, original manuscripts, not rewritten later on,
Yep.
based on this original manuscript, early manuscripts, never had those two Ephesus
Okay.
written. It was added in later manuscript which been rewritten from the original. There was never written to those Ephesus.
Okay.
And all the phrases, that phrase was added later on that some wanted, you know, to put in Paul's pocket, because Paul wrote the Galatians or whatever, pocket, to get and to forge the idea of Ephesians. Let's say good or bad idea, we are not talking about right now. No.
Yes.
There's obviously written, we can see the Ephesians 2, it written by the Hebrew guy,
Yes.
because of Commonwealth of Israel,
yes.
Jew and Gentiles,
Jew and
everything, you know, it's but it's later. But that's written, Paul has nothing to do with this, you know, okay? We're not, because we running.
Yeah.
Running. Another thing, because there was many, that doesn't prove that was written by Paul. Paul, an apostle of Christ Jesus by will of God. There was many manuscripts, but when people study this, never had to do nothing with Paul, you know. Next, Just Ephesians, just one thing. But if you want to go deeper, you go and study yourself. You know, we have no frame time to talk about this right now. And they're giving you just quick facts. Again, 1st and 2nd Timothy.
Oh,
For years, many Jewish guys who believe in Mashiach have been studying Paul, and they're saying, no, cannot Paul write in what we have in Timothy.
it's not a Paul.
It's not them Paul. Paul cannot write, you know, even because of the role of mother in Jewish family, you know. The ladies cannot teach, blah, 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 or this, something like this. But Paul cannot say this. That the mostly Jewish people, remember? Because it's not a Hebrew guy writing.
Yes,
you know.
absolutely.
And okay, Timothy, pastoral epistles. There is some how I can say, some
Congregation,
some accumulation of books. If simply to say in my English, Chester Beatty Biblical Papyrus #2, which is accumulating Paul's most papyruses, you know. There is never been included Timothy and the Titus, you know. Why? For you to think, you know, or if the people doesn't want it, or it was written late. Then before people include the Paul's things, and the Paul already died, and they put everything Paul wrote here. But later on, we will have a Timothy 1 in Titus, and it already doesn't go. Or people who did Chester Beatty papyrus, you know, they said, no, it's not Paul's, whatever. But the most important thing is we know, and in another we will talk it external evidence, you know, externally. There is the internal evidence, we'll say the external evidence when we study with you. External evidence. At what is written in letter, and that there is external and internal evidence. In letters, Timothy, their organization of the church, bishops,
even with pastors, you know,
elders,
what the behaving, what the rules for the pastor's family.
Been on the beginning of the 1st century. This organization, the first time it's written by Ignatius from Antioch, it's the late 200, 300, you know.
Antiochus.
Written that construction of the office or whatever, you know, ordination, all this stuff. There was never, Paul never talked about structure of the church. That's someone who wanted to make the church. They put the name Paul on it and forged it that Paul did, like justification by faith.
Because if Paul says, you know, of course, you know, it's authority.
It's not our responsibility.
It's not our responsibility.
Because
it's a Paul says.
No, they could for this. They could be going on a fire blind for this. You know, absolutely, because they forged it.
Oh yeah.
But it was good for them to put in the package of Paul. That's Paul said, look at this, you should this in office, this and this. Paul did only collectively to people where in the resolving situation, theological situation in between 10 tribes, content of 10 tribes, 2 tribes, how to put it. Paul never saw and pay attention to the personal, some ordination, whatever. And physically, when Paul lived, there was nothing of it. It's formed later on.
And search, the Paul knows the book of Leviticus. In Leviticus, everything about the congregation, the rabbis, the relationship between people, between God and people, everything in book of Leviticus.
Absolutely.
He knows.
Absolutely. And, you know, there is a kind of, Paul has his theological views, you know, and many things do not match do not match up with the theological view in Timothy,
Of
in
course,
Titus,
of
with
course.
Paul's theology.
Yes.
If you study, you will see that. But if you're just reading all the stuff, that's your problem, you know. And there is nothing to do, Titus and Paul, because there was no organization. There is a lot of things which theologically Paul never been
Absolutely.
proved he in this field.
Some of it's not his foundation.
Because in his letters,
Yes.
real letters, in
Real
his
letters.
the absolute. But someone wanted to put this
Yeah.
and to rule over you if you're not
Yes.
study.
Unfortunately.
Yes. In 50 or 70, in early letters, we can see his can I say it? His theology base, you know, base of his theology, whatever. You understand what I'm saying?
So our goal is, you know, to speak the truth.
Okay, absolutely. Look,
speak
and
the
I'm
truth.
saying that's two pastors who said, oh, Paul said this and this. Paul never said anything what written in Ephesians, Colossians,
Okay.
Second Thessalonians,
Thessalonical.
1 and 2 Timothy, Titus.
Wow.
Paul never said a word in this. Because the most respectful scholars, text scholars, said Paul wrote only seven
Letters.
letters. It's proved that we can see real Paul.
Yeah.
We thank you for whoever wrote Acts to see historical Paul.
Yeah, there's
that
some.
look like, because look, 276 guys, there is written, the ship was crushed total, and they're all saved. Little bit, you know,
Yes.
naive.
Yeah.
And Paul, so, where is I can find, for myself?
So
Okay.
the only 7 letters. This is
Romans,
Romans.
First, Second Corinthians,
Okay.
Galatians, Philippians, First Thessalonians, and Philemon.
Philemon. Yeah.
That is Paul speaking.
Yeah.
That
He's,
is Paul.
he's
Acts
responsible.
speaking about Paul.
Yes.
But all these pastors to you, if you not agree with me, study. There is written.
Yes.
There is officially written. There is information. I am sorry you preoccupied with number of people who pay tithes for you to have a good salary. But God is writing the names. And there is a judgment, the end of
He's recording.
of the way.
Yeah.
He's recording what you're saying and what you're lying at the pulpit when you're reading your laptops. You know, that is a shame. We're talking always to parishioners. Study yourself. Don't let fool yourself by anybody.
Yes. No substitution for personal Bible
Absolutely.
study. This
Yeah.
is for sure. Because you're responsible, you will be stay alone before God. And thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, dear viewers. Goodbye. Shalom.